when we went into our entrepreneurial space with my last daughter, we didn't take full possession of her, right, until 5 years later because we had to do a payment plan with
Right.
the hospital
Right.
in order to pay her off. So when we finally paid her off, we're like, "You're ours now, 100%."
Having a baby
But
is expensive.
welcome to another episode of Badass Agents Podcast. I am your host, AZ Araujo, and I'm very excited about today. I got a special guest, and I got to tell you something. Before I introduce him, this guy, just as soon as you get it within his vicinity, you'll know what I'm talking about. He is just full of just hope and aspirations. He is very motivational and just an overall just grounded individual that I love having around me, and just to see his journey. And we're going to talk about that today. His journey of taking control of his health and taking control of his business and everything that followed suit, even becoming a foster parent. So without any further ado, I want to introduce my next guest, Mr. Roger Wright, the Wright Realtor for you. And Roger, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, brother. I know how you were out in who knows where earlier today, and you came here on time. I'm the one who actually came in here just busting through the doors, trying to get ready for this. But thank you for coming in, man.
Hey, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me. This is a great podcast, and
Thank you.
to be on here with so many other great leaders and yourself, this is just awesome. Thank
And
you so much.
you deserve to be here. We've had great guests before, and we're going to continue to have great guests because we got great people here at
Right.
A's and Associates.
Right.
And I got to tell you, man, you and I have had several conversations over the years. And, for me to be able to witness what you've done, I mean, it's inspiring. Not only from taking control of your overall health, but what you've done with your business and the people in your corner and the cheerleaders that you have all the time. Anytime you post something or go live, you have a massive amount of engagement from people that absolutely adore you, just like the way we do. But tell me, man, like how did you get into this business to begin with? Like from where you're at now to where you started from, how did it even begin?
Well, first off, I am very, very fortunate and blessed for the support I have here at the brokerage, as well as all of my people there, on Facebook, my friends and family. But I was in call center work, running call center teams, starting call center teams, outbound departments, inbound departments. And I was just sick of it. And one of my companies closed down, and I went to a warehouse job. And I'd always thought about doing real estate. My dad had always told me to do it. I had employees that always said I would be good at it. And when I went to this warehouse job, I just knew it wasn't for me. It was a great job, great company, really good pay. I was running like 50 people on the dock, and I just hated it. I hated it. I mean, it was horrible. And I decided to go all in and quit the job and then start real estate school. Funny thing is my wife and I were trying to have a kid for 5 years. And of course, we got pregnant 2 days before that other job stopped. So
It's funny, man. So did the benefits stop as well?
everything stopped.
It's funny because for us, when we went into our entrepreneurial space with my last daughter, we didn't take full possession of her, right, until 5 years later because we had to do a payment plan
Right.
with the hospital
Right.
in order to pay her off. So when we finally paid her off, we're like, "You're ours now, 100%."
Having a baby is expensive.
But it goes with the territory, I think oftentimes people stay within a job that they hate, in working in a place that they dread for the sake of having these benefits, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of people listening today that have been stuck there and they've been thinking about following their passions, whether it's in whatever talent that they may have. They get stuck there because of benefits. Was that a scary thing for you just to go venture out?
The job wanted me to stay, and I even told them we had gotten pregnant, and they were like, "Hey, your job's still here. You don't have to leave."
Yeah.
And I said, "No, I need to bet on myself at this time. I need to create, a story that my family can have a legacy from.
Right.
Not just working for this distribution center, or not just working for some call center.
Yes.
It was really about just betting on myself, and I was scared, and it was in the midst of a lot of depression.
Yes.
At that time. And so I thought,
Like a real estate depression, or
no, before real estate, it was my own life.
Your
I had
own,
a lot of stuff going on, and so it was at that time that I'm surprised I kept going. I'm surprised, but I wanted to bet on myself. I always read all this motivational stuff, even though I didn't believe it. I always
put that mic closer to you so I can hear your voice. There you go.
Yeah, but I really just really decided to just take the leap of faith. My wife had a really good job. She supported me. That was a huge part of it. My wife has always had my back. And we jumped in, and I made barely anything the first year.
And I was going to tell you, a lot of people think that coming into this industry, it's going to be all the glitz and glamour that we sometimes see on social media and that we sometimes witness with our own eyes. But the reality is that most will fail. As a matter of fact, I tell brand new agents, I'm very upfront with them. I said, if I was a betting man, if I was in Vegas, I would the odds are stacked so much against you. I would bet against you. It's just the realities. You have to prove yourself otherwise.
Correct.
I'm here to help you down that path, but you have to prove it. And it's like close to 90% of agents will fail. I put out some numbers yesterday about the top 5%. Those are the individuals that make 90% of the money in our industry.
Right.
And if you're not in that place, it's a very hard, it is a very painful industry to be in.
What they say, the average agent makes like what? Does 2 or 3 deals a year.
I don't even know what the stats are nowadays.
I don't know how you can do 2 or 3 deals a year and live and feed your family, right?
It's a tough business to be in.
Right.
And were you ever at the cusp of saying, this is not for me. I got to go somewhere else.
I don't know if I ever shared this with you. After a year in real estate, I only made $24,000 coming from a $70,000 a year job. And my wife had took time off because of the baby, right? And I thought, we have this baby. We wanted it so long. This is I should be happy now.
Right.
And then somebody called me up and said, hey, we want you. You don't even need to interview. We want you to run this team at this call center for $60K a year plus bonus. So I took it.
Yeah.
I thought, God's telling me I'm not in the right place,
whatever.
And I started that job. And within, I think, 3 weeks, I was like, nope. Yeah. And I started working harder in my real estate business while I was working there. I got busier than I ever had, and I hit $3 million that year.
It could have gone a different way, too. You could have been just, okay, this is just the way my life is. I'm going to go ahead and stick around. But I think instead you had a bigger vision for yourself.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because all these opportunities seem to pop out of thin air when we're trying to go for what we want, Right. And I hear that a lot. I know I've had agents here that, come from the construction industry, right? They have their contractor's license, they're ready to go, and they want to transition into real estate. And it seems like at the moment they want to go all in with real estate, here comes this big job. Yeah. This big job to try to hold.
Promotion.
It's insane.
Well, I truly believe we're not made for mediocrity. Mediocrity is a learned behavior, right? Like we see these other people's doing whatever the case may be, and we decide we're not good enough. But the thing is if we do the work, we are consistent. Most things are, I think you said this a long time ago, simple, even though they're not easy. And it's just doing what is necessary.
And it's the truth when we talk about, if you do the right things every day, you can't get the wrong results.
Right.
The problem is it's not going to happen under your parameters or your time constraints. Everybody wants it now, and we're conditioned from a young age to kind of live within that stage of, work hard for somebody else.
Right.
Not necessarily work hard to build something great for yourself. Right. And that's a hard transition. Only a small percentage of the population dares to venture off. And even a smaller percent of the population actually hires other people to help them grow to another, level within their organizations.
And I also think it comes to the fact that a lot of us think we need to work one way and we need to get to somewhere this way. However, when you open your eyes up and you kind of take a step back from your own way of thinking and let somebody else, guide you or see some other things that other people are doing, like you guys here in the brokerage, I was able to kind of see all these different routes that I can actually get to my goals versus just thinking this way was going to be the best way.
And really, truth be told, you grew your company based around your personality. You're attracting a lot of people that want to work with you, not necessarily a facade of you or a thought of who you are, but truly the person you are. And that came about through putting yourself out there, right? That's one of the things that I've noticed about your marketing. It's constantly talking about the challenges you're facing, how you're overcoming them, being real and raw and honest. Right. You've led us into your history. You've led us into your past. You've led us into the current challenges. You've even brought up depression. I think a lot of people, shame themselves when it comes to that. And you found power, right?
Absolutely.
You found power in being able to discuss those things.
Well, I believe when you get to your authentic self and you choose to actually live in your wholeness and realize every part of you is there to fuel you or stop you, and you decide what it does, right? And that's kind of where I was when I came onto your brokerage. Like, I started getting momentum in the real estate game. I had been watching you for about a year, watching your videos, watching all the different stuff that you had put out, and I was very motivated by it. And I was like, man, these are the type of people I know I can grow around, right? And the people I was with were great. However, I knew coming to you, getting in this environment with other leaders, people that will hold you accountable, people that will push you to get to the next level in a competitive way, but not in a negative competitive way, not like downing you if you don't hit that. And that's really what helped me just kind of get through that anxiety of wanting this, but really only willing to do this. Because then I was starting to willing to do what I needed to do to get here, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense, because here's what you want. And I'm raising my hand for those that are going to hear us later on our podcast. There's a gap between the action we're taking and what we want. And what that gap is, it really is misery. What that gap is really anxiety and all these negative feelings, because we're not in alignment with the thoughts and the things that we want. Yeah, I know, and it's spoken about a lot about you got to envision what you want, you got to write it down, you got to affirm what you want, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the actions. It does.
You have to work for it.
The actions always have to align with the result,
yep.
And oftentimes it doesn't. So we have a choice. We could either bring down our goals and ambitions, or we can work our ass off and get up to that point that it's going to require to get those types of results.
John Maxwell talked about that whole wanting what's up here and only willing to do what's down here, and being so crooked that you're walking around not able to stand up straight. And I think you made a really good point just now about choice. Like, even if I make a wrong choice in 5 minutes, it doesn't mean the next minute I can't change. And I have two choices. I can wallow in my mistake. I can wallow in the things that weren't working for me, or that somebody so-called did to me. Or I can look at it like, hey, these people did this for me, so I can be fueled to the next level, or I can learn something new, and I'm going to move forward from that versus just sitting there and feeling sorry for myself. And that's kind of what I was doing prior to coming here.
And it does start with choices. It does start with choices. And, it's hard to make the wrong choices in the first thing in the morning and then do better choices in the afternoon. Can you do it? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people in the day worsen how they started.
Right.
And I see this every time I have to pump gas into the convenience store. I see people coming out with these big 64-ounce drinks, donuts, and all this other stuff smoking away. And it's like, nothing's going to get better throughout the day. Don't tell me all of a sudden you're going to have a salad for lunch. Don't tell me all of a sudden you're going to go out and this evening and go out for a run and make the necessary deposits for your business or whatever it may be. And that's what limits us. Now, if we get up and we're able to do the right small things, odds are you're in a position to make better and better decisions throughout the day.
And win the day.
And win the day. And that's what it comes down to, right? As your business grew here within the last 2 years, last year, and your ability to lose 65 pounds, which we're going to get into in just a second. I've had a lot of brokers within our market ask us how we did it. Well, it didn't happen overnight, even though it appears as we lead our market, 575 million, the highest sales per agent ratio of brokerages with over 100 agents. It just didn't happen overnight. It was a small right things every day, win the day, win the week, win the month, and all of a sudden it just builds that great momentum.
The consistency. It doesn't always show up right at first.
It doesn't, and that's the frustrating part.
Yes.
I mean, so many times, I can't tell you, like as we're opening up our new building, it's a huge 9,000 square foot headquarters that we're building, and one of the largest financial investments I have ever made. And man, sometimes I just sit back and in awe, like I can't believe it myself, because there were so many times during that journey, Roger, that I just wanted to shut down these doors and just walk away from it all.
Absolutely.
How frustrating it got to a point where we're building up at some point, and I've told the story, we had like up to 40 agents, all built the wrong way, where I was racing to the bottom, come one, come all. I'll charge you the lowest fees, disregarding my value, disregarding what I wanted to build in the hopes just to bring in the masses, right?
Right.
And can we turn on the AC here for a second? It's getting a little warm. I know, we got the lights on us.
I'm a sweaty guy.
We got the lights, and if we could get some napkins in here, I want Roger to feel good. But there was a point where we built up to like 40 agents, and then all of a sudden I made some changes because I was just so frustrated because I wasn't making anything. In fact, I was bleeding, from opening the brokerage. Right. I went from selling real estate to now opening the brokerage. And when I did that transition, my income dropped by like 80%. Okay, just like you said, I went from 70,000 to 20,000. Well, I went from what I was used to making to like a fraction of that.
Right.
So now I'm like, I'm upset. I'm not upset. I'm just in a miserable spot because it's not the way I planned it. This was supposed to be great. As soon as I opened my doors, it was going to be great. It was going to be profitable, but that wasn't the case. And then when I grew up to 40 agents, and then I changed a few things, and 35 of them left, I was devastated. I had other brokerages around here like picking us apart. Like, how they catch wind that, this person left and that person left. All of a sudden, they were like vultures.
Yeah, going after all of them.
Going after all my agents. And a lot of that also struck my ego, right? It's like, it's hard because it seems like everyone's eyes are on you when you fail. And I was failing miserably.
And you could have decided to back out then and
go back to real estate. Yeah, selling real estate.
And go to this brokerage or that brokerage and connect with them.
Yes.
And let them take care of all the troubles and the woes.
And it was hard, but there was this voice that was screaming at me just like you. I have to keep going. I have to stand firm in my beliefs in who I am and what I've accomplished and how I can get a person from point A to point B. I have many years of experience. I know what it takes, and now I know my value. And those individuals that left, that spread apart as soon as the lights came on, it was like a gift.
Right.
But I didn't realize it was a gift until like, many years later. But I was devastated. And this real thoughts of depression come in. There's real thoughts of, did I even do the right thing? But
I'm not
now
good enough. I need somebody to save me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as I was building, I still came down with that type of mindset. I went to some coaching programs because they promised that they have a training program that could train all your agents. So I was trying to circumvent that whole part by buying somebody else's boxed philosophies and trying to apply it. Well, that failed miserably. So going through all this process, I was just trying to avoid the work. But yet there was still this vision that I can build something greater.
I think what you're talking about, you went through, most realtors go through, even if they're not creating a brokerage, right?
Yeah.
Because we get so many people saying they have the answer, and even if you're doing decent.
How many emails do you get?
Oh my goodness! Like, especially since I did so well this year, I am being poached. Everybody's calling me, and I appreciate them. But guys, I'm where I need to be. I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm not going anywhere. This is home. Yeah. However, it's easy for us to look at the shiny objects, right? And everybody has the answer, but what you have said, and some of the other personal development I've done, and we have the answer inside us, right? And we always have the answer inside us. We just need to trust ourselves and take action.
Yeah,
take action.
And one of the things that we preach here is just be you powerfully. And as I look at your eyes, as I look at your results, man, you are you powerfully, and you can feel that energy. And I was writing in my journal the other day, and there was a little area that I put out. It says, I was just talking to Roger. I'm so happy to have him in my life because there is this positive energy, right? There's this energy of like, hey, I'm willing to learn and I'm also willing to give, and to teach. And I love that. And that's what continues to drive my ambitions, is knowing that you're pushing hard. After all the things that you have to overcome, I need to push hard as well. And that's the environment that we've developed here at A's and Associates. Now, you mentioned that how this environment keeps you in line. There's agents out here in Arizona that are in the wrong environments, thinking that they can supersede or they can continue to grow in the wrong environments. You left here for a short term, Roger. Okay,
I did.
You were here. You started building momentum, and then there was that shiny object.
So let's talk about it.
Yes.
So what's funny about that is I had no reason to leave.
Yeah.
I wasn't unhappy. I didn't see anything I wasn't getting. If anything, I thought to myself, there's so many people moving to Arizona, I must need a big box name brand behind me.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing. And then all of a sudden, this brokerage came to me. They offered me a huge check to come on over. Mm-hmm. And you had said, hey, this comes with a price. I'm not gonna tell you not to leave, but this comes with a price. And sure enough, it was like being an employee. They had me under their thumb. They weren't teaching me anything. The culture was stale. It was quiet. Nobody was there to, nobody needs to inspire me. However, I want to be around inspirational people.
Yes, I love that.
And so, yeah, it was just such a dead environment. And I knew within a couple months I needed to leave. So I ended up paying them all their money back and coming back here.
Yes.
Because I know this is home. There might be other brokerages out there that I could do really well in. However, I know that I can flourish and continue to grow and be pushed to grow, not just in my business, but in my family, in my physical, and then even spiritually, because you guys really do embody all of the wholeness. Let's create more than a commission check. That was a very, very big statement that you guys put out years ago that I think it really embodies what you believe in.
Yes, build something greater than your next commission check, and you embody that as well. I mean, tell me a little bit about this journey of like what it takes to lose 65 pounds. I mean, who was that person that was 65 pounds heavier than the person I'm staring at now? Who was that person?
Anxiety ridden. I spoke so bad to myself. Anytime something didn't go my way, I was big baby inside my head. I would say some really, really bad things to myself constantly. And, watching you for so long and reading all the books I had been reading and I wasn't believing, when I decided to make the move over here, I was just sick of it. I was sick of being fat. I was sick of feeling sick all the time. I was sick of not having energy. I was sick of the person that I was acting like I was, what I really wasn't. And so I decided to put myself around people that I thought were living the way that I wanted to be living. And then in addition to that, I started doing some other personal development, really started working on myself. I truly believe that if you want to be the best for your family, you want to be the best for your friends, best for your community, you want to make an actual contribution, you need to believe in yourself and you need to be strong and confident in who you are, every part of you. The negatives, the idiosyncrasies, all the different stuff that we have inside us. So really that journey, that person back then, I'm so thankful that he decided to take a step in the right direction.
I love it.
I just wasn't knowing what that direction was at that time. And luckily I was around good people that helped me find that direction.
That's incredible. And I love how you said, I love how that person, because it was a different person.
Absolutely.
You literally had to chop that person down and rebuild to the person you are today. The foundation, every aspect, the beliefs, right?
Right.
Your opinions, everything had to change, and you've built yourself up to the person you are today.
And I want to say, anybody who's listening, like, oh yeah, that's so hard to do. And granted, two things I want to say is, first off, when you want other people to change, don't ever expect that what they're doing is wrong until you are working at a 10. You said this to me not too long ago, and I'm not going to really put that into context. And then the other thing is this isn't all perfect. I mean, issues still happen. I still go on binges of eating the horrible stuff sometimes. Not as often. I bounce back a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I lost my mom a week and a half ago, and granted, like the couple weeks prior to that, I was just totally distracted. And I used that opportunity. Once that did happen, I used that opportunity to dig back into work. And no, I haven't worked through all that yet. However, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to change. I'm going to shift. And I'm not going to sit in it because that's not what she would want. That's not honoring her. That's not honoring my family. And so I'm using that as fuel to really take myself to where I know I can be, to honor her. She was one of my biggest supporters as well. I mean, she was always there loving on me. I'm her little boy. And, I think we're always going to have these struggles. It's just how we bounce back.
Yes.
It's wallowing in them or it's bouncing back quicker.
And before it was wallowing.
Oh, it was
giving
wallowing
yourself
in.
permission to be in that place and to allow yourself just to get
Netflix all day, smoke weed or whatever, just not do anything, you know what I mean? Hide from my wife, come home because I didn't do anything really in real estate, even though I was running around all day, staying busy, even though it wasn't productive.
Right.
Come home, feel bad about myself, convince my wife I didn't need to do anything, check out. All of that was happening at the beginning, and that's what we had to overcome.
And those are the realities. I mean, a lot of people think that, once you are able to pinpoint our dysfunctional patterns and habits and behaviors, that once you know it, then it never happens again. The realities are, it's real easy for us to get back to that lowest form of habit. It's real easy for us to get pulled back right away because it was so common in our life at one point. It's like riding a bike. You're going to remember. You're programmed. Now, you do things not to get to that point, but sometimes we get hit so hard or a number of things hit us at the same time. That is a real way to handle it. There's a real possibility to handle it the way we used to handle it.
Well, it got us through life this far.
Yeah.
It might not have been the most effective.
No,
However, it has kept us alive.
It's a comfortable pain.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten us through. And uncomfortable is always more work and, struggle. However, we always end up rising up a level. And our belief systems can be broken up. It doesn't mean they're truth, just because our belief systems.
And just knowing that when we do hit that spot is not to allow ourselves to be there as long as we used to be, and not shame ourselves for being at that point, you know? And the way I like to approach it now, I always try to picture myself from a third person perspective, when I'm being a little bitch about certain things, you know what I mean? To not, for lack of better words, but when I'm not in my power, it's like if my daughters were looking behind a glass and they could just see me, right? How I'm responding to this obstacle or to this problem, and I'm trying to shut down or having a tantrum of some sort, or getting angry. Like, what would they say? My 15-year-old daughter and my 12-year-old daughter. Like, what would they say about that? Would they be proud of how I'm responding to this situation? And then I look back at how I used to respond to when things got overwhelming. I would go into the room, bring down all the blinds, get under the covers, and just sit there. And now I'm like, if my daughters would watch me, or my mom or my wife from that perspective, would I be proud of that? And,
right.
And no, I would not.
Right.
I would be, it's almost comical because we go into these tantrums, childlike tantrums, because we think we're not powerful or smart enough to handle whatever obstacles in our way.
For the silliest things most of the time.
It's insane.
For the silliest things that doesn't even matter for 5 years from now or 2 years from now or 2 weeks from now. It really didn't matter. And, I think kind of taking that to the next level is what helped me, seeing all these different things, the awareness that I was gathering through the time that I came onto this brokerage, and then the extra steps I took to work on myself. Even though the first year in real estate stunk, the second year I started gaining momentum. The third year I was here with you guys, and I realized that this is where I need to be. I have passion here, but because I'm so passionate, like yourself, when I fall, I fall hard. Yeah. So now it's, instead of going up and down in such big, peaks and valleys, it's about just keeping it a lot more steady. And that's what I've created over the last 2 years. So,
it's that stability. It really is.
Stability.
And
well, I would say
awareness.
Growth. I hate the word stability. I sorry, not to
No.
discount what you're saying. I believe there's no stability in life. You're either declining in your health, your business, your relationships, or you're growing. There's no stability, in my opinion. So I appreciate. I apologize to.
No worries, man. Hey, Roger is Roger, and we all. But it works. It works for you, and you're building a great life.
Yeah.
So what was that turning point? You look in the mirror. Was it a looking into the mirror and not liking what you see? Like, there's always that story. I know what made me change the way I approach my marriage. I know at the specific moment I decided to approach my business a different way. The relationship I have with my daughters, my health. What was your turning point when you decided that this was going to be? Because I'm sure you tried to lose weight before.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there was a few things that you had to overcome that got you to gain 65 pounds. I think when we abuse our bodies in that format, we're lacking something, or we're missing something. We haven't overcome something. And that could just be my opinion. But what was the turning point where you decided to take control and go down this path that didn't happen overnight? But can you remember that? Was there a specific moment? Talk to me about that.
So I was with you guys for about a year, and then I had left to the other big box brokerage for no apparent reason. And I had started gaining awareness and started, building a lot of confidence and becoming to be in my power. When I left, I started doing a lot of personal development, like I said, and I went through a couple different classes, and there was this 90-day class. It was a goal setting course. And, I fumbled through it. However, I achieved what I wanted to in that 90 days. And then I bounced all the way back down. I gained like 20 pounds after losing like 20 pounds. I gained it in 2 weeks. And after like a month of that, I was like, I cannot be this person anymore. My child is seeing this. I'm sick of this. I'm done with working so hard to get to a point just to allow myself to self-sabotage. And I literally was looking in the mirror one day. And a friend had been challenging me to start doing keto and intermittent fasting and actually going and working out on a consistent basis. And I looked at my wife and I told my wife, I said, I'm ready to make this move. You don't have to, I'm not going to drag you along. If you decide to go with me, that's awesome. However, you can hold me accountable. You could see me, but I am sick of having low energy. I'm sick of not wanting to play with my son. I'm not jump around with him, getting wheezy. And I looked myself in the mirror one day and I said, you know what? You are worth having everything. You are worth having everything. You need to work for it. Wow. Nobody's handing it to you. And I prayed about it, and we got on the path, and it's been going from there.
How simple is that, right? You are worth having this. It's like it's so simple. It's a simple process, but I think we need to remind ourselves of those things, because sometimes we do believe because of the way our beliefs were built as we were in the developing stage through the people we surrounded ourselves with. We may not believe that certain things are possible for us. And for us to affirm, I can be this person, or you are, worthy of all this other stuff. Right. It really resonates with yourself. I mean, it really just confirms that, hey, this is okay for me.
You know what somebody said to me recently, and I know I haven't shared this with you. It was a buddy of mine who calls me up, and he's always telling me about all his woes, and I always hold him accountable because I'm that person. Like, you can call me with your woes, and I'll talk to you about them, and I'll let you talk about them. However, once you get them out, we're forward moving or we're off the phone. Yeah. And this guy calls me all the time, and he doesn't like the forward moving conversation. And he said to me one day, he goes, "You think you're better than me?" Oh, I got triggered. Whoa. I got triggered because I've worked so hard not to be better than anybody else. Just to be better than who I was, right? Better than I was yesterday. And at first I got super triggered, and then I looked at him, we were on the phone, and then I said to him, you know what? I am better than you because I'm willing to do what needs to be done. I said, however, if you choose right now to take the steps in the right direction, you could be just as good. However, I'm going to give you competition along the way. We can be just as good as each other. We don't need to be competitive.
And it's so true. Like, one of the things that used to always trigger me, I take it like a grain of salt now, but it was like, oh, you're so blessed. You're so blessed. And it's like, you're disregarding my hard work.
Right.
You're disregarding what I've been through, the pain I was willing to overcome, the sleepless nights, the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears. You're disregarding all that. No. I think we're all blessed.
Right.
We were blessed from the moment we were born,
God gave us free will.
We were blessed with the ability to choose. Right. And I decided to choose the right things every day and then put my heart and my soul behind that each and every day.
Correct.
And it used to but now I'm just like, okay, thank you. Thank you. I mean, there's really no way for me to try to change their mind or opinion. I don't have the energy for that. I just can show them this is how I got it, but not to try to convince them otherwise, And it's funny how these little phrases sometimes cause those trigger points when in fact they just don't understand. They don't understand. And the realities are just, if they're willing to lean in, and that's one of the words we use here all the time, is like, if you lean in, we will put our heart and soul back into you. But if you're just asking questions and not doing anything about it, then the conversation kind of subsides.
It's because you guys are outward focused. You guys are outward focused, and that's how you have built such a great empire here. That's why we have such great leaders that are doing so well here, because you're so outward focused to grow and to teach us not just about real estate. Yeah. Like, the real estate part will come. It's really about our mindset, the mindset that we have to move forward, to persevere, right? Because there's troubles all throughout life.
Yeah. And it's the thing about, I think a lot of brokerages, a lot of, coaches teach about the offense, how to get this, how to go get that. But what about the defense? When things don't go your way,
right?
I think
they won't.
They won't. Odds are that you're probably going to run into that situation almost immediately. But it's how you respond to that, how you defend on that. And that's making the small deposits through our 12-week target book.
Yeah, that's been amazing for me, by the way.
It builds that capacity of defense, right? And it's about just making the small deposits. We talked about, the self-development. We have it right in our book. It's like, okay, power, make your power deposit, which is for your health. And the purpose deposit is about self-development, learning about your behaviors, learning about the things that constantly knock you off your game and how to overcome those things.
Become more effective, right?
Yes, effective, efficient, intentional.
Intentional.
Yes.
What a good word.
And then obviously the profits deposit, which is learning something about your business, learning about your craft, honing on those skill sets. And it's like, if you do these things every day, like, all aspects of your life.
Yeah. How can you lose?
And you've made some big, I love what you and your wife have created to a point. You've created such a stable and safe environment, a very loving and caring environment that you've brought now people outside of your family. young children outside of your family into your home.
Yeah.
Tell me about your experience as a foster parent.
We currently have one. We had two at one point. We just started the foster care process back in May, and I wasn't sure I wanted to do it because I was always so concerned about giving them back and being hurt. And,
Yes.
and I had somebody say to me once, they put their hand on my shoulder and said, "No, I totally get it. It's about you." And it was like mind blown. Like, my feelings don't matter here. How can I contribute to these children's
Impact
lives,
them, yes.
right? Because that couple weeks, that couple months, that year that we end up having these kids may be the most stable that they've ever had, maybe the most secure that they can take with them throughout life. So we have a 1-year-old right now. We're not sure. It looks like, some things might happen with a severance, so we might have him for a little bit longer before he goes with a family member out of state. It is such a... Oh man, it is really, really humbling because you think you're a good parent. I've took care of a lot of kids, and then you get these children that have trauma, and you realize that it's a whole different animal. You have these children that have been taken from their homes, even if it was a bad home or a good home, that's still traumatic. They're coming into this home, even though it's safe and we have everything they need. That's traumatic, right? They're in this home that's not theirs. And to kind of be compassionate about that and empathetic, as well as still do the business. Courtney stopped working. She came home to be part of the business.
That was a big move for you.
Huge move. That's something we were trying to do for 6 years.
Yeah, and you finally took control of your business.
Enough to do that.
And that's huge. You had this goal and ambition, but because there was constantly these fallouts or whether intentional or unintentional, not getting to the point you were to the place you wanted to be financially.
Right.
And then to halfway through the year or 3/4 through the year, you just decided, okay, this is it. I'm going to bet on me again, right?
Again.
One was to leave corporate America. The second is to go all in and bring, where everything revolves around the success of your business now.
And take responsibility, right? Because when the pandemic first started hitting, I was going to cower, and you had said something to me. You were like, what were you going to do this year before this happened?
Yeah.
And do that. You said it a little bit better than I just said it. and then my son is coming home from school. Yeah. My wife's still working at the office.
I remember you coming around with your
my
son.
My biggest quarter of my career, when most people were faltering, before the real estate game got really crazy this year, when it was just kind of coming back.
Yes.
My biggest quarter, during all the banks stopped giving the good loans and all that stuff, I had my son with me all the time.
And that just grows your capacity to run a business, your patience as a father, and the ability to see opportunity when most are cowering. And that's what was happening in our industry. And we took a different approach. We said, no, we're going to attack this. We're going to attack this head on. And we increased our trainings. We increased our conversations. We did all sorts of things to make sure that we were in alignment because, in a place of darkness, there's always that great opportunity. And we have to be the ones that open up our eyes and be able to see that and not just cower. Because when I cowered, the last time something big like this happened, when our economy went down the toilet, I was sucked into that as well. Not realizing that, there's opportunity out there.
Justifiably in some sense, though, right?
Yeah.
Like it's justified in some sense, more than ever when the masses are looking at it. Yeah. However, I think the people who stand out and I wouldn't say take advantage, but take the opportunity to help people, build value. I was doing 30 days of gratitude. And right when this thing got really crazy, I did the 30 days of gratitude. And you know how many people reached out to me and thanked me for that? And I was so thankful because I wasn't sure if I should be doing it. I thought this is the time I should allow people to be freaked out. And then I'm like, no, they need a shining light in this. And I think that's partially what our brokerage did to really create the results we did this year. We decided to be the shining light, to be the positivity, to be what people still needed, because people still need to live, right? They still need homes.
And I love how you put the focus on the positivity of it all, because there was those other people as well saying, what are you doing, Roger? Don't you see that there's a pandemic going on? Why are you...
I got a lot of that too.
Oh, yeah, and you'll get that. But I love how you focused on the positive, the people that were really benefiting from what you were doing and what you were saying. Yeah. And that's our role, right? As humans, as men of the household, as even, for you, if women in the household, is to be those leaders, in our respective communities and our respective sphere of influences, so that we can raise the bar. And I showcase a lot of my life, and just like you do, not to say, look what I got, look what I have, look what I do it in the hopes that somebody else is able to get inspired by that.
Exactly.
And come home and treat their spouses better, treat their kids with respect, not like a tyrant like I used to be, right? Do as I say, not as I do type of thing.
Right.
And this has helped me and allowed me also hold myself accountable to a higher standard. If I'm saying and I'm doing all these things on camera, I better live up to that. And because I've been aware and put my life out there, I feel like I am now putting myself at a higher standard that I have to live up to each and every day. There is no off button. I have to stay on now. That's very hard sometimes, and I'm sure you feel the burdens of that, of always having to be on all the time.
Yeah.
But that's just a responsibility most won't take. But then you start seeing the results and you're like, oh, I get it.
Right.
That's why you take it.
Right. Like you said, I mean, it's not to be better than anybody else like that guy who triggered me. It's not to be like, you need to do it this way because this is the right way for you. No, it's if you want to listen to the things I have to say that have helped me, if you want to see the quote that I read, it's not to tell you to live differently. It's because I probably need to hear that today. And I want to share it because one or two people might get some light from it, might get some positivity, might get a paradigm shift. And that's for us. And when we do these things, we do impact other people's lives because people are able to see a different perspective, right?
I love it.
So
I love it. So you came into this year and you actually came back January 2020, right?
Yep.
Back to
I think it was the
Associate.
17th or something, yeah.
Yes. And how hard, now I'm going to ask you this. How hard was it to actually reach back out?
You mean stick my tail between my legs?
Is that what happened? I don't know.
No, not at all. I mean, I actually looked at a couple other brokerages because the pride in me was a little, not wanting to come back in the sense.
Why do you think that is? Is it because?
Well, it's pride. It's pride, right? Because there's nothing else. There was no reason I left. I had no problems with anybody. You were very, very good with me coming back. You guys reached out throughout that year. You guys gave me a lot of love and support no matter what. And that's really big of you. And I looked at a couple other brokerages and talked to some really great teams and some really great, mentors and things like that. And then I made the call to you, and I knew when I made the call to you, it was over because I was coming back.
I still remember the conversation how you approached it. Well, I'm like, Roger, back over.
Just come over.
What are you doing?
It was on. It was on.
What are you doing?
I feel like I never left. You never made it weird, and at all.
One of the things that I remember telling you is like, I don't think your time here is done yet.
Yep, you did.
And there's some individuals that it's their time. It's their time to go. It's their time to go outside of the brokerage. They're not getting they're not either leaning in or really buying into what we're working towards.
And there's no reason to be here if you're not going to.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, I don't want you to just to simply hang your license. You need to buy in. You need to start making changes for your life, for your family, for yourself, for your business. Like, it requires deposits. It requires a buy-in. Your actions are a buy-in. And I remember telling you, because you were on this trajectory, it was only a matter of time before it just started going to a massive scale. That momentum was building, and it was building massively. But I do remember the conversations, and I do remember telling you, I don't think your time is done here yet, but go venture out, go do your thing if that's the right thing for yourself and your family. But there was a part of me that was a little heartbroken, man, because I knew you were on that path. And it's hard sometimes to be in this position because, we do pour ourselves into our agents. I know every one of our 160 plus agents, I've personally held an interview with them.
Right.
I know their story. I know their background. I know their triggers and also what ambitions they have. And to see you go, was a little tough on us. It was tough on me at least. And but I'm glad you found your way back. And when I got that phone call, I was elated. I welcomed you back. And there's still some people that have left, and I'm like, it wasn't their time. But I know the pride, I know the ego is not allowing them to find themselves back over here. And the reason I put so much emphasis on that is because we have a big responsibility. Those responsibilities you decided to step into as a husband. And you, Courtney, myself, and Carla have also sat down and had these massive conversations about how to be able to, balance, not necessarily balance, but to bring a sort of how can I put this?
I'll use balance because of the fact that when you're at home, especially if your wife's at home, and even if she's going to do any part of the business, which she is starting to step in there and lean into that. However, I'm not making her do that. I'm not going to be her boss. She's my partner in life, right? And I would have approached it as a boss. I would have approached it as, you need to do this, X, Y, and Z, and if you don't do that, you're fired. Maybe not quite that harsh, but the conversation we had really, really was good, and it helped our relationship. And after that conversation, after she came home, you'd think her being home so much would be harder. However, we've just grown so much closer. Like, our relationship in 17 years hasn't been as close as it is today. So yeah, I appreciate that conversation. And you guys have just poured your lives, not just, into the business, but you guys share so much between yourselves and the way you parent, and you're such an example. And, if somebody doesn't like that example, that's fine. That's cool. That's your way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? However, if you can't learn something from everybody, then you might need to take a look in the mirror.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So,
and I love it, man. And I think, when we work on things outside of the business, when it comes to our mindset, our mental health, right? And you worked on your health, and business, like, your business will automatically grow beyond that. And sometimes we have to take a step back and say, oh, okay, things are not right in our marriage. Things are not right with the relationship I have with my kids. Maybe if I fix these things, then it'll have an impact on my business. Because I don't think a lot of people realize that the reason your business is not growing the way it should is because there's a lot of things outside of the business that are holding it back. And when we approach all things, we know we're moving on all cylinders, and things just start to progress massively. And I've seen that with your life.
There's a saying that says, what you do here is what you do there is what you do everywhere. And that is so true. And if you're allowing your relationships to falter just at cost of your business growing, like, where's the happiness? Where's the true success? Where's the true wealth? I mean, I guess everybody measures those things differently. However, like, if you can really get your family right, your relationships with yourself, your physical health right, your business is going to follow, because you're doing this here, you're doing this here, you're working at an excellence.
You know what
here.
I love? I think that's why we have such loyal clientele base.
Right.
Because if they see Roger approaching life with intention in all aspects of their life, how are you going to fall short for delivering for them? You're not.
Correct. Right.
You're not.
Right.
So that's what we're embedding into our clients. That's what you're embedding into your clients. Is if he's approaching it this way and that way and all aspects, he's not going to come up short for me. As a matter of fact, he's going to come in and deliver for what I need. And I think that's huge. And it's because they see those actions as opposed to you just telling them, they can see that. And you have a great loyal database of people that you've helped, and they continue to refer you. Yeah. Is that how your business has grown? You're now up over $10 million in sales. You're even going to push even harder for 2021 to helping more families and individuals that, see home ownership as a goal this year, or even selling their home.
Right.
How is your business growing? Is it through that referral base?
It's through referral base. It's actually following up and putting the processes in place that I kind of was just flying by my seat of my pants prior. But yes, it's my support, the people that trust and know me, the people that know that I'm going to follow through, and then I follow through and they refer me to their friends and family.
I love it.
It is such a good time to buy and sell right now that it'd be silly not to at least look at the option.
Yes.
And really, when it comes down to it, I don't remember, you said something to me about growing my business, and I thought there was no way that I would get my business as big as it did this year. I told you 6 million.
Yes.
And you said, no, you're going to get 7 million. I was like, nah, if I get 8 million, we had a little bet.
Yes.
And here I am with 10.
With 10, over 10.
Here I am with 10.
And one of the things that I love about you, Roger, you could have been content with the 6. You could have been content with the 7. But you decided to lean in and see where it could actually take you. I offered a coaching program towards the last quarter, right, of the year, and you went all in with that.
Right.
Why did you decide to go with that? Even though you've done these seminars, these different coaching outside of the brokerage, why did you decide to go into the Do the Work coaching program?
Because, we need that constant growth. And just like we were talking about earlier, it's growth versus decay. If I am not growing, there's no stability. And having that type of, power of influence around me, Rudy and Jesse and, Edgar and, all these, Jermaine, and just these guys that were in that little group that we were talking constantly, and to show up and to tell them I didn't do good last week. I didn't do what I said I was going to do. Wasn't an option.
Yes.
So it's not that somebody has to hold me accountable. When you have that power of association and you put yourself around the right people, and you know that those people are doing what you want to do, it's hard for you not to do those things. And if you decide not to, you're going to crawl up in a ball. You're going to go dark. You're not going to be around because you're not doing those things. Yes. Or you're a liar because you're telling people you are, and it's not working when results are there. So it doesn't really matter what you say. Results are results. And that's why our results are so good at this brokerage.
Yes.
That's why the DTW coaching group, everybody who's a part of it is killing it, because the results are there. The accountability is there. And you're not forcing anybody to do this coaching. You're not forcing anybody to turn their numbers in. It's just something that you offer, you put in place, and the growth has been there for everybody, at least that I've seen.
And what I loved about that whole, small group coaching was how raw and real the conversations actually got.
About relationships and
everything, right?
Family and
and and the pressures we feel. I don't think people realize, how much comes with trying to own a business, especially being a sole proprietor,
right?
And, handling the marketing, the sales, the systems, like almost every aspect.
Paying the bills,
everything.
The P&L. You just have to make sure that there's
emotions, the emotions of
your
clients,
oh my
the
goodness.
emotions of mortgage brokers and the title company, and the emotions of the other agents.
He said, she said between the title and the lender, and then even sometimes
back
the client,
and forth. Yes.
And you're like, whoa, it's
heavy.
It's heavy.
We take this stuff home because it's an emotional buy.
We care.
Yes, absolutely.
If you take it home, it's because you care, and it's natural.
Yeah. And I love the fact how everybody was just so raw about it. Top producers just being able to talk about things they don't necessarily talk to other people about because they just don't quite understand. And we call it the Council of Kings and Queens for that reason, because we have to have a place where we're able to discuss these things outside of just the business. Did we grow? Absolutely. There was a form that you had to fill out and write down the results from the week prior, and also go back and assess, did you do what you said you were going to do, yes or no? Mm-hmm. And then having those discussions. But I think just the little reminders, right? The little reminders that you got to stay on track really propels something bigger.
And I think even more so, that weekly call was huge. And if you do that in conjunction with the 12-week target book, you really have the recipe for success. And I know not everybody knows what the 12-week target book is, but he's created this journal. It's also got a lot of different areas that you could check off. There's a daily quote. There's just different things to really get you in the mindset of doing the right thing. I mean, there's gratitude statements and different things like that. And I think if you're doing these things, then there's no way you're going to hit that weekly target.
Yes.
No way you're not going to hit that weekly target.
Yeah, and it really puts into your, it shines a light on, are you doing really the things you're supposed to do? Because, sometimes when we're so overwhelmed, I wrote that in the journal, I was so overwhelmed by everything that when I tried to specify it, I couldn't pinpoint what that was exactly. It was just everything was overwhelming. But now I had that game plan. As long as I follow that, it starts putting things back into perspective. It's getting overwhelmed and doing nothing at all is what sends us down this rabbit hole.
Paralysis.
Yes,
because we all have life, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you got going on. If you're in real estate or you're not in real estate, we all have tons of stuff going on. And if you're not cataloging what's going on in your life, and this is a great way to do that because it's outlined so well, that you're gonna feel overwhelmed, and it's gonna put you in that paralysis, that time of just sitting down and turning on Netflix and trying to zone out, or looking at Facebook or whatever.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're able to as long as you're able to work towards it, right? You earn it. Everything is earned,
right?
And if you do the right things for your business, whether it takes all day or half a day. I know sometimes I just want to get through a few things so I can take a few hours off. I need that for my own psyche, my own mental health, because yes, we could redline, and redlining on a consistent basis it's a burnout. That leads to burnout.
Which happens a lot in our industry.
It does. And I always tell people, I've been in the game now going on my 18th year. And I tell people all the time, you compare me to somebody else that's been there that long, we don't look the same. We do not look the same.
You're a diesel.
Yeah, I'm a diesel. I build myself. I've taken care of myself because I know that I need that mental health space. I need that physical deposit every day, and I'm not burdened by this industry. I'm excited about it, and I tell everyone I feel like I just got started, especially with our new building that we're putting together. It's like this is just the beginning of where we're going, and this is after 17, 18 plus years in the industry.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
That building looks sweet. Oh. I just locked in my office yesterday,
guys.
Nice. If you're in the brokerage, and you might want to see if there's any left.
I'm going to stop by there later. If you want to come with me, you can go check it out.
Tell me when.
Yeah, right after this, we'll go and head out there.
Cool.
But, we are live. So if you have something here for Roger, we're going to take a few minutes to go over the comments. We are live here. Roger, again, thank you for being here. But I do have some questions. I know there's a lot of agents watching you right now, and they see this great life that you built. You've taken control of your health. You have a great balance at home. And you're also, you're so wise. You and I go back and forth, and we have these deep conversations, and I really, really appreciate them. And you're also building a great business, and you're just scratching the surface of where you're going. I know
Absolutely.
this. What can you tell these agents that are running into walls, haven't built the momentum? What is the one thing that you can tell them that will possibly shift the way they approach the game? Like, what is it that you can tell them?
It's not about perfection. It's about progression. That's what I'll start with. However, the one thing that I'll tell you is get around the right people. If you get around the right people, you're going to stop looking at all the shiny objects. You're going to stop looking at the best way that's going to make you 10 listings in the next 2 weeks, and you're going to put $300 in it a week or whatever. There's so many different shiny objects. There's a lot of great tools, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't use any of those tools. However, if you get down the basics, you get down your foundation, you get what you really need to do, the consistency of reaching out to your database, making sure that you're not chasing the money, you're chasing the value that you can provide, right? If you don't chase the money and you're chasing value and providing that value and learning more about your business and making sure that you put in the processes and the systems and being consistent with those things, the money will follow, I promise. But if money's not following, you're missing a part of it. And if you get around the right people, they'll definitely help you be aware of that if you ask.
I love it. Environment.
AZ & Associates, baby.
Thank you very much for that.
BadassAgents.com.
Yes, thank you for that. And if you are watching us and you're in Phoenix, in the Phoenix metropolitan area, and you're looking for a change, I invite you to fill out the form, and I personally will reach out and we'll schedule an appointment. It's BadassAgents.com. And listen, you don't have to be a top performer. You don't have to be a top performer. You just have to have the mindset that you want to become one and that you want to level up every aspect of your life, because the requirements here are massive and you are going to feel the pressure. The pressure to level up, to stand up for yourself, stand up for your family, stand up for your business.
I tripled my business this year, guys. Wow. I tripled my business. Look at Rudy Flores went from 5.5 his first year to over 21. 21 million in production his second year. Guys, the environment is proven. The results are there. You can say what you want about any of us, but the fact is that the results are there. You know, results don't lie.
Results don't lie at the end of the day. And, you know, you've made it a great place to be. And what I love is the collaboration and co-creation that we have here. If you walk through the doors of AZ & Associates, you are part of the crew. You are part of the, you know, the environment. And people will go above and beyond. Like Roger, he'll sit down and tell you exactly how he did it and what he's doing now in order to grow his business. And I love that collaboration.
Everybody does here.
It's insane, right? From our top producers. I mean, even all the way up to like Ruben Luna, you know, a $50-60 million plus producer.
Oh, he'll sit down with you anytime. Anytime you want to talk. And that's the thing, guys, is like, there might be a little competitive nature, but it's a fun competitive nature. It's not like a beat you down competitive nature. Because if they really think you're not getting it, everybody's going to come along and help you. They're going to lift you up.
What I love is the example I use. You know, you talked about Rudy, and then we got Rio. They were kind of neck, and Rio killed it too. And what
4 years in the game, jeez.
Like what I love is like the space he has. He never looks like overwhelmed and he's $22 million plus. Very calm. He's got a process in place, very much like Rudy. But what I like is these guys were kind of like the competitive, going back and forth throughout the year, all year. But then they would go out to dinner with their families and discuss exactly what they're doing. Almost like inviting the other person to level up. Like, you level up is going to force me to level up.
Right.
And that's what I love. That's what competition does.
Don't recreate the wheel. Use what's working and do that for your clients and create value.
What are you most excited about 2021, man? What are you most excited
You know what? I think I'm most excited about the different parenting classes I'm taking to be a better dad and handle. Because my son's 4 years old and he is a handful. And then having the foster kids there and everything else, obviously, that's new for him. So doing that, and then of course taking my business to another level, hiring some people in my business, maybe hiring a couple agents, just really taking this to a vehicle to create a legacy that I never thought I could be. Right now I already feel like I walk in my house, I look at my wife, we talk, and I never thought I'd be in this place 5 years ago. God is good, and God gives us, sorry, I'm not trying to get all religious on you, but God,
don't have to apologize.
To me, it's like God has given us these tools and the ability to do these things. However, it's up to us to make the moves. Nobody's going to become successful and rich and have a good family unless you do what you need to do. And that's why it's all about do the work. I love do the work. You can apply anywhere in your life.
You can.
Anywhere.
It's like anything that is the solution to all things is to do the work. Marriage is not, where it needs to be. Do the work. If you're not feeling the way you should be feeling, do the work. And it's the solution to all. And we forget that's all in our control.
It's all in our control.
100%.
Total responsibility and accountability.
Man, I love like I said, I love the life you've built. I love the fact that,
Thank
you
you.
know, I sit back too, like you just mentioned, 5 years ago, I never thought I would be in this place where I'm actually inspired each and every day
Right.
to have conversations with people at your caliber and with the mindset that you have. And I'm doing this day in and day out. It's no wonder we're growing so fast, exponentially,
Right.
because it's like having the right people is so important. But Roger, I do want to thank you for coming in. But we
Thank
do
you for
have a
having
couple of comments. You probably sit closer there to use. I'll read some and I'll allow you to read others. Okay. We got Raquel. Nice opening. I love the clips. Thank you very much. We got Bonnie, one of our agents here, Billy Armijo. Thanks for joining. We got Rudy Flores, my brother Roger, and I love this. Like, a lot of our agents are watching this and they're like rooting for you.
Yeah, they're
like
awesome.
This is awesome. They're not just sitting back and trying to watch it after the fact, so you don't know that they're watching. They're here supporting, and I absolutely love
support.
it. We got Jermaine, a 70.3 athlete, Ironman athlete, authentic self, beautifully put. How amazing that you stayed strong and firm and continued with the brokerage. Your brokerage has changed lives. Thank you so much, Raquel. I appreciate it. And this was all worth it. I mean, it's all got to be worth it to go through all those obstacles, all that pain, and not make it worth it. To quit at that point, Roger, what a shame, right? To quit after going through all those experiences, what a shame. We got... Well, Roger, you made the change in the midst of depression. What an inspiration. Man, you knew you were meant for something greater, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Like, even though your thoughts were telling you, no, you're not worth it. No, it's not going to go your way. You were like, there's something within you. Roger, you're speaking facts. I love it. That's from Isabel. We got Lonnie. This is amazing. Thank you for sharing. This has got to feel good, Roger.
It's awesome.
Thank you for your transparency. You dropped a lot of bombs today. Condolences for the loss. And I love how you bounce back from that. And Roger, I know you have your memory, and that will live forever. We have Calvin on. We have Sam. We are either growing or disintegrating. Absolutely.
Yes.
We only compete with ourselves, becoming more. The others, our friends and family, want to pull us back to where they choose to stay. We not good enough anymore. It hurts, but understanding fuels us onward. And sorry, I chopped that up. It's a little difficult to read.
It's all right. I basically think what he was saying is don't let other limitations stop you. It's not your limitation.
Amir, loved hearing all this. Roger, Amir's one of our up-and-comers.
He's a great kid.
You're a great dude, and I'm glad we got to spend that whole day. He's also a veteran, just like yourself.
Yeah, we did the golf tournament back in September.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Your advice still is used today in my business, so I always appreciate that.
Yeah, we had some good talks about real estate.
Oh yeah, Amir is one of those guys. Again, a sponge, and he's leaned in. And Amir, your life is going to be radically different here in 5 years, man. And right now you're just going through the growing pains. Absolutely, and it starts right. The momentum starts building. We got Rudy. Roger, energy is contagious. Appreciate you, your words. Much respect, my brother. We got Betty. How's it going, Betty? Amazing, Roger. So inspiring. And Jason Smith, great job. And again, beautiful job. Thank you for being so open and sharing your story. And I know this journey is just beginning. The next chapter is being written as we speak, and it's going to be an epic tale.
It's going to be glorious.
It is going to be glorious. A glorious tale.
Glorious tale.
So again, I want to thank Roger for joining us today, and I want to thank you for spending time out of your day to join us. And hopefully you got inspired to make some changes in your life. And again, if you're in the Maricopa County area, Phoenix area, and you're looking for something greater in your life, to work in all aspects of your life, to build something that means something, go to badassagents.com, learn a little bit more about us, and also just go to your favorite podcast provider and download this podcast, badassagents.com. I have a couple series, is Mindset Mastery, and also the Badass Agents podcast, like we bring in a special guest. And I think you'll get everything you need to make the right decisions for yourself, for your family, and for your business. So until next time, I want to thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Badass Agents Podcast, brought to you by AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching and Consulting. You can watch this and other episodes by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or by visiting us directly at badassagents.com. And of course, you can listen to this episode and many others on your preferred podcast provider.